standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good morning, everybody. We are driving hell for leather up the Vuurtel axis towards Sydney's Dam, where we've heard some lions calling. Sounds like male lions. You're on a live safari here in the middle, well, the western section of the Kruger National Park. My name is James Henry. On camera today, we have Jean-Ray Swollen Foot Gerding. Jean-Ray stood on a nail 2 days ago, and his foot now is the size of his rather gargantuan calf muscles. Whether or not he will die during the course of the drive is not clear at this stage, but with any luck, he won't start rotting before we get home. Now, forget about him, he'll be all right. We're going to drive quite quickly. I think that these lions are probably heading in a northerly direction, which means that we won't have a chance to see them unless we get to them very quickly. So I'm going to drive quite fast towards the dam, which is only about, half a mile north of where we are now. What was that? Map. Oh, right, you can see where we're going now, everybody. You can see a map of the northern part of the Sabi Sands. Sorry, Kirsten, I can't hear you. There's a great deal of yakking going on the Game Drive radio. Sorry, I'm very strange communications coming through the radio here, everyone. Okay, right, we're not far. We will sort these out as the day goes on.
Otherwise, I'm going to come in.
Right. Okay, that sounds better. So you're on a live safari, like I say. It'd be lovely to hear from you during the course of the morning. Hashtag Safari Live. Questions at wildearth.tv if you're on the email. Jean-Ray, stop closing your eyes. Jean-Ray, of course, is we're hardly wearing a jersey today. It's 13 degrees Celsius, which is about 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And he's not wearing a jersey, of course, because his body is deeply infected with septicemia. So it goes. He's being a very brave soldier about the whole thing. Kirsten, if you wouldn't mind just trying to speak to me, I did lose you briefly. Whoops. Yeah, no, that's very horrible, Kirsten. I can barely hear you. We'll erect this aerial shortly. Never mind. Let's try and find the lions first. There are some impala. They look very relaxed about life indeed, which indicates that perhaps there aren't 5 marauding male lions yelling from just around here. There's also a rather gorgeous sunrise threatening to come up from the east there. Right, now it's around here that I thought these lions were probably calling. So the first thing we'll do is check the water over here, and then we'll head in an easterly direction from there and see if we don't pick them up. I suspect they might already be north of us, though. I don't see anything there. I do see some hippopotamuses. Right, let's turn off here and have another listen and a scan. Right, this is Sydney's Dam, just over there, and we'll look on top of the dam wall. I mean, it was pretty much on top of the wall that I thought I heard their loud bass voices. There was a hippopotamus, obviously relieving himself in front of me. That is what hippopotamus do when they see me. In fact, all animals. I can hear hyenas calling. Isn't that a tremendous sound that the hippos make? They can make an unbelievable bellowing noise. At the moment, they're just going... There's the lion calling. And he's far away from us. But that's further north of where I heard them before. You wouldn't have heard them. Let's just see if the others don't perhaps reply. The hippos are going... Okay, I'm going to turn around and drive in easterly direction towards the rising sun. And just quickly give an update on the radio. Stations check Sydney's Dam, no sign of those lines. And just make sure that I haven't missed something on the radio during this slightly difficult time. All right, Brent Leo Smith is out in the Mahindra, and he is taking a standard issue game drive from a different car. Let's go and get an idea of what he is going to do this morning.
Morning and welcome. Chilly morning, but it seems like the cats are about, and it is Saturday, the Cataday. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Brian Joubert on camera with the thumb. And of course the thumb is controlling the camera, not Brian. He's got nothing to do with it. But also, always good to be with Brian, because sometimes, just sometimes, when we produce a cat or two, we're known as the Killer Bees. So, thanks to Chris Rogue for all the updates on the dam, on the dam cam, and actually had a look at that Tingana, I'm pretty sure it was, and we found his tracks coming into this block. We haven't found any coming out. So we're going to try to see if we can find him. I've also got Herbert with me today. So we will try definitely track this leopard. And I feel like I haven't seen Tingana in such a long time. I know Jamie had a wonderful sighting of him not too long ago, but I feel, I haven't seen him since I got back. I've tracked him a couple of times and he's just walked away, tail in the air. But we're hoping he's in here. The fact of from where his tracks were yesterday afternoon, and he went to the dam camp for a drink and came out again, means we think he might have a kill somewhere. So fingers crossed that we're going to be able to find it. Checking very carefully through the bush. Remember, if you want to know anything about leopards or about anything else that's going on here on Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains private game reserves, you are more than welcome to ask. And James and I will do our very best to respond to them, and you can use the email address questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, and that should get your question through to us. We do get lots of questions. We do try to respond to as many as possible. So if your question doesn't get answered, don't get despondent. Hopefully it'll get through the next time. So he's watching out for the aerial. Yeah. So if we take a line on the big elephant path that Mr. Tingana walked onto, if he comes out, he should be coming out somewhere around here. I think the next one over. Wouldn't it be nice to just find him lazing atop a termite mound? Make life a little bit easier for us. But then again, that would take a lot of the fun out of tracking leopards and lions. It's definitely my favorite time of the day during the winter months. Early morning, the mist's about, fresh leopard tracks, fresh lion tracks. It's so exciting to be out here in the African bush. Of course, really exciting to have all of you with us. So the plan is if we don't find any of his tracks on this little track here, we'll go back to the last footprint we had and we'll follow it on foot. So I'm guessing probably around from here now we really need to use our eyes. And check in the trees, check on the ground. A slightly harder road to see tracks on because it is what we refer to as a two track. So it's not one of the main roads. It's just a little, basically two tire tracks through the bush. So we're going to keep checking and scouring the section of Djuma Private Game Reserve. While we do that, I wonder what Commander Bond is up to.
We're just sitting here having a listen, everybody. The lions did call again, and the guys inside Buffels Hook here reckon that they are west of the dam, the Sydney's dam that we were at. And then there's more sound of lions coming from Buffels Hook Dam, which is a long way east of where we are now. Now there is the sun. You can just see the pinkening horizon there. We're just going to sit here briefly because unless those lions come quite a long way south, I'm afraid I don't think we're going to see them. Anyway, it's a glorious morning. The sounds have been amazing. We've heard the hippo grumbling and shouting at each other. We've heard impala rutting, and the birds are now starting to call, the francolins. And of course, there's nothing quite like the sound of a male lion calling in the dawn, which they're not doing right now. We've got some zebra alarming in there going, wah, 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 wah. There's the lion calling. Long, long, long way away. But that might inspire these other ones to call. We're going to sit here just briefly for another 1 minute and see if we can't hear them again. You won't be able to hear it. It's very faint, just off to the north there. Long way north. Orbs, any luck there? I'm just checking with Aubrey whether he's had any luck. But I'm not hearing anything from him. I'm on Buffels Hook boundary, just west of, or just about at the junction with Aubrey's Road. Oh, there they're calling again. Way north. Copy, I've just heard him call again. Sounds like well north of the dam. I'm just going to reverse back and just have one more look there, but then I'm going to carry on. Let's go back and have a look, guys. Sounds like they are a very long way north of where we are, I'm afraid. And given how chilled to the max those impala were when we came driving past here, I think you'll find that the lions are not going to be in a vicinity where we can see them. Just turn this up. Okay, I'll tell you what. No one else is checking Buffels Hook Dam. Let's go there and have a look there. Oh, there's gorgeous sun coming up now. Stunning, Jean-Andre, stunning.
Oh, thanks, James.
Is that how your foot feels? Like you put it into the sun.
Yes, right.
Yes. Chandra says his foot feels very much like he was dipping it in the sun. Teacher, very silly of him to stand on a nail, of course. Now, Rich, you want to know how long and how far a lion's roar can be heard in the winter time, and this is obviously because you realise that the call does travel definitely further during the winter time. Sorry. Sorry, everybody. I'm just struggling to hear what's going on here. They have found them, but I think they're north of the wall. Oops, sorry, confirm they are north of the wall. Okay, copy. So confirm I won't get visual. They're on the damn wall. Copy, I'm going to make my way there. We can see them from the damn wall, everybody. I think it's worth doing that. Let's just quickly go back there and have a look, because it would be nice to see. I mean, we won't get a great view, but we will have a view of them, and we haven't seen those Birmingham boys for a little while. Well, I certainly haven't seen them for quite a while. So let's have a quick nip along here. So, Rich, the call will travel in the winter definitely further than it will in the summer. It seems to be that the less moisture there is in the air, the further the sound will go. And I would say that in kilometers for the human ear, we'll be able to hear them probably from about 5 kilometers on a very clear, crisp winter's evening. And for their ear, at least 8 kilometers, I would say. So that's about 3.5 miles and 5 miles respectively. We'll just have a quick last look here, and then we're going to give up on this lark and go towards Biffleshoek Dam, where there may well be others. There they are. Just in front of that vehicle there, one male, one female lion. Two males. No, two females, one male. This is interesting. I wonder who these are. Now, I know that the Nkahumas was seen not far from here. And look how she's lying in front of him there. You see that? It's almost like he's been admonishing her for something. She looks like she's kind of afraid. Look at that, look at that. There's another one calling now. Go ahead. Ja, dit woning kom. Tile Sydney stem. Ja, dat woning kwart. So I wonder what's going on here, everybody. That male looks like he's not happy. He looks irritated. He's now rolling around in the ground. I don't know why she was having an sort of, she was giving him well, she wasn't attacking him, but she was certainly flicking at him. Maybe they've been mating, that's possible, and maybe that sort of estrus session is finished. Who these lions are, I'm afraid I cannot tell you. But I heard another one then off to the east of where we are, west of where we are now. That's sort of to the left-hand side of your screen. Just going, hoo, hoo. Isn't this a lovely misty winter morning with lions, hippos calling? Oh, it's just perfect. Now that's the hippos you can hear there. And there's another lion calling from way to the north. Linda, you say you hope he didn't kill any cubs. I hope he didn't either, but I mean, he's nowhere near Torchwood where those cubs are being kept. And I don't know who he is at the moment. He doesn't, I mean, it's unlikely that he's a foreigner. I wonder, I mean, it's very difficult to tell from here, everybody, but I wonder about our old pal Junior. I think he looks a bit old, though, but it's not impossible. Rondre, that's, yeah, I mean, that's, you're at full zoom, are you? Full stretch. This is not the super zoom camera, everyone. That one Leo Smith has got. Anyway, very nice to start the morning with some lions, especially that we heard them, and then to see them is marvellous. Now, in case you're wondering why it is that we are not going towards them when there are two other vehicles clearly parked that much closer, the answer is simply that the various traversing regulations that there are in the area preclude us from driving on here. These two guys can. They've got traversing in the area. One of them is from Djuma, which is the property that we operate on most of the time, and the other is from Buffelshoek, which is the property that they're on now. We're not allowed to go in there, and so that's why we can, well, we certainly sit here and film them, but we can't drive any closer. Let's sit here a little bit longer. I think it's going to be worth it, just to see what happens, because a few more lions might come down. Look at this one lioness has got up. She looks a little bit nervous. Kathy, you're in Tennessee and you're wondering about the chap sitting on the front, riding shotgun on the front of the vehicle there, and why he's there. You say it looks terrifying, you wouldn't want to be it, and you hope that it's not a place to put a difficult guest. No, it's not, Kathy. It is a place to put your tracker. Now, if you're a tracker, the best way for you to spot tracks going across the road, of course, is before the wheels of the vehicle go over them, and that's why he's sitting out riding shotgun there. It's not dangerous. Where I used to work, we used to put the trackers into the vehicles when we went into a predator sighting. That was more for the benefit of the predator, though, because it didn't make them, having him sit out front there in an area where the predators are perhaps not quite as used to vehicles as in others, will make the animals react to him and probably move away. In this case, that's absolutely not happening, but he's in no danger sitting there. And Kathy, yes, we did used to sometimes put guests on the front there, but they weren't difficult ones. Normally guests would beg to ride shotgun, and so sometimes we'd let them sit on the front there, and it was always amazing to watch their reactions when you came around the corner and there was an animal. And most people just freeze, you know, most people just, it's perfectly safe because people freeze, and that's exactly what you should do. But I remember once I drove around a corner and there was an elephant, and no, there was there were lions on the road. And before I could say to the guy, I was going to stop and then reverse, before I could say just sit still, he leapt off the car, dived round the side and into the back seat, almost before the lions could react. It was the most astonishing speed at which a human being can move. Right, well, we've still got the one male there. The two females have wandered off behind, and I think we've probably, let's sit here for another 2 minutes, and then I think we'll move on and see what else we can find. There is still a lot of activity with the hippos, but the lions seem to have calmed down, as they always do, of course, once the sun comes up. Gorgeous, gorgeous misty morning. Not too cold, Just the right amount of chill in the air, I would say, especially if you happen to be Gendre, suffering from the effects of severe septicemia. Keeping your temperature down, Gendre. Are you still sweating? He's still sweating, he's nodding. He's starting to go a bit pale and green about the gills. Anyway, like I say, hopefully he'll make it through most of the drive. Hello, wonderful Twitter handle here from somebody in Las Vegas called Dog's Mum. Dog's Mum, you want to know if we cross the boundary, what happens? Well, someone will shout at me at the very least. Someone might then have me arrested at the worst. Now, I don't wish to spend the sort of weekend in a South African jail. I think that would be an unpleasant situation. Now, it's unlikely I'd be arrested. There certainly would be repercussions, though. People would get very upset. They get very, very protective of their land. As in most Western cultures, people are extremely protective over private property. And I suppose they could then sue the landowners, and the landowners could then sue me. I wouldn't get much, though. All right, Gendre, have you had enough of this lion? Do you think that from a filming point of view, this is an average sighting, don't you? He's nodding. Oh, there's another male coming in. Hang on. Sorry, Gendre, we're going to stick around. There, look, on the damn wall. Big male. He's on the damn wall and he's going towards the females, everyone. Do you want to try picular with that camera, Gendre? Shall we put the binoculars? Does that make your picture better? Can you see them better?
Negative.
Not? Oh, sorry about that. So Taxon, who's got a much better view there, says the females look quite young, and maybe that's why she was looking a bit irritated. I'm just going to quickly ask him which males he thinks they are, and then we're going to move on. Tax, which males do you think these are? Yeah, he says they're two Birmingham boys. Okay, copy, thanks. Good. Well, the other one's got up. I think that's a perfect start to the morning. Ideally, we would be following him, but still a lovely view seeing him walking in all his glory. And you get it, you know what? You get a really nice impression of his size walking past a very large Land Cruiser there. And you can see how big he is. Probably about 440 pounds worth of cat. That is many pounds of cat, of course. Good. Caroline, I'm not sure we've heard from you before, but nice question, thank you. You say when there's a group of males, why do they not fight with each other? Well, they're what we call a coalition, Caroline, and a coalition is normally born into the same pride, so they're either brothers or cousins, and they then leave that pride together when they are about 2.5 to 3 years old, and they go and seek a territory together as a team. They will absolutely fight with other coalitions of males, but because they are a coalition, they know each other, they seldom fight. They will fight over food sometimes, Caroline, and sometimes they'll fight over ladies as well. But they generally are fairly tolerant of each other within the coalition. Outside of the coalition, they fight viciously. Lions don't like each other if they are unfamiliar with each other. And the same goes for the females. They do quite a lot of fighting as well. So let's go towards Sydney's Dam, at least to Buffelshoek Dam, which is the far northeastern corner of the reserve, and we'll see if we can't get a better idea. Now, we're going to show you a map here of exactly the route we're going to take. Basically, we were in the far northwestern corner, and that's the cut line that we're driving on now, and we're going to land at Buffelshoek Dam on the far northeastern section. So that's quite a nice view of where we're going. I think it's rather clever. Right, we will continue. The other thing that we have to do fairly soon is try and find the new hyena den. I think they've abandoned the last two, so that we're going to have to do at some stage. I might take a walk in there this afternoon. I'm just going to keep my ears to the radio in case they don't come this way. I'm trying to decide if my hands are colder or warmer with these gloves on. I'm not sure they make a great difference, to be honest. All right, let's go across to Brent. I'm just listening to the radio. I think he may have some great updates for you, but let's find out.
So, really good news. We got on those tracks. They are beautiful. Fresh. Down a nice big used elephant path. You can almost see the dust sort of emanating from them. So I've left Herbert on the tracks very close to where you were with us earlier when we linked to James. And I'm very, very confident we're going to be able to find this leopard today and keep up with the Saturday, because James has already done his part with lions. So exciting. And I think he's got a kill somewhere around this area in front of us. And for those of you who might be a bit late, just joined, we are tracking whom I think to be Tingana, the dominant male leopard in our area. And he's one of my favorites. He's a real fatty, and that's what makes him so wonderful. Now, if those of you who follow my Instagram or Facebook or whatnot, I actually put a picture of him up of him this morning. And one of the most fantastic sightings I've had since I've been here. So I was actually tracking him on foot, and I walked up to a big termite mound, and I just saw him shoot and grab a male impala. And he grabbed it while I was on foot, no more than 25-30 meters from him. Sprinted back to the car, and we managed to get into that sighting while he was still strangling the impala. So I have some very fond memories of this particular leopard. I've nearly stood on him twice while tracking. And he used to be very, very shy when he first came into this area. Tingana means the shy one. Of course, he's very used to all of us now, so no longer have that problem. So I left Herbert about 100 meters from here. I'm just checking that I don't see Herbert's tracks crossing the road, which means we should find him shortly. Oh, it's cold in the dip. Brian is convinced this is the coldest spot on Juma. Philemon's dip. Or was it VM? No, it was you. It was VM. VM is convinced this is the coldest spot on Juma. I think when it's really cold, everywhere's the coldest spot on Juma. Brian and I definitely share a philosophy on cold. The more layers we can put on, the better. There's Herbert. Let's see what he's got, what news he's got for me. Coming straight through here. Oh, there's elephants. Okay, well. Okay, perfect. So, what's been happening now, and it was very apparent while we were tracking him, is that there's a big herd of elephants around in this block. And every time the elephants come close to him, he cuts a little bit further to the southwest. Cuts a little bit further to the southwest. So, which is making us tracking a little bit more difficult, but we're still pretty confident that he's less than a kilometer from us. So I hope it's just double checking there. Make sure he hasn't crossed this little 2-track. If he has, he's probably gone down into this river system here. And he would have used the river system. The elephants will use the river system, but not as frequently. And he might have used that as a path to get around and past the elephants. But only time will tell whether we're right or wrong. It is very exciting. I absolutely love these mornings. I'm just trying to listen, see if I can hear those elephants. So it looks like Brian, Herbert and myself have our Catterday work set for us, because James keeps one-upping us so far. So he's got something for the Catterday that I'm quite jealous of.
Well, I think it's very unfair of Brent to himself to say that I keep one-upping him. I didn't find these chaps. This Aubrey found them, and they've been here for a while, you know. That's a Nyala, looks like they've eaten. And that Nyala bull has been dead for some time. As Jean-Andre was saying, it smells a little bit like his foot. And so fairly disgusting, but what an incredible morning. 2 male lions with a female. There's the other Birmingham boy. So I think these are all the Birminghams we've seen in one day, which is very unusual. Very lucky we are. And Lion's actually doing something. Now she, of course, has taken to eating the rather distasteful innards of the hapless Nyala bull that died here. And I suppose it might be likened to eating haggis for breakfast. You can just maybe make out the sound of him growling. And every time one of them moves, you see, this is where I find it so interesting. Lions are, you know, we tend to think of them as living in teams. It's calling a little bit, but they will fight over food. They really are appalling at sharing their food with each other. It's a delightful morning. Right, so just to reiterate, I mean, I don't know, I'm going to assume that this female is the other Nkuhuma Pride female who was around earlier, or has been around here, and because I know they saw 3 females yesterday. And I think what you'll find is that the other 2 we saw were perhaps members of the Nkuhuma Pride as well, and that this is the 3rd. We know that there's one sitting on Torchwood with her little babies. So I wonder where the 5th one is, quite possibly giving birth somewhere. And you hear him growling. Sounds a little bit like this hippo. That's the male growling. And he's growling at his mate, or his friend, in theory, who's now coming round the right-hand side of the bush. And way in the distance, I just love that sound, and it's so unusual to hear in this area for some reason. The gorgeous sound of baboons alarm calling. And in the background you can hear a crested barbet going about its day, and it's always so interesting to me, you know. We have this, well, I mean, it's almost a tragedy in the Nyala world, but the lions carry on eating in this pretty sort of vicious fashion, but behind us and all around us, the world just carries on. So that little crested barbet is not too worried about the fate of the Nyala here. Hello, Donna. You're in Rhode Island, and please do remember, everybody, to tell us where you're from. It's so nice to hear where we're hearing from. We had Las Vegas today already. We've got we've got Rhode Island now. And Donna, you say, is this unusual? No, it's not. It's exciting. It's not common, but it's not unusual. So I mean, these lions eat, probably every 3 or 4 days or so. And if they're eating, there's a good chance we'll find them. And I say that this nyala was killed probably early yesterday, and so no one drove up here yesterday, so that's why we didn't see them. But it's not unusual. But it is very special, and especially, we operate on a relatively small piece of land, and this coalition of 4 male lions, the Birmingham boys, they operate on an enormous sort of section of the northern Sabi sands, and so we don't often have them all together, and we don't often have them on our little patch where we operate. So this, from that point of view, it really is very special. Right, one of them's given up. These chaps are filling out nicely now. Look how full his belly is. And Bear, you say this poor girl must be hungry to be eating that stomach. Yes, I think she probably is quite hungry. It's certainly not something I would want to eat. But, there are a whole nation of people just north of Hadrian's Wall who eat that sort of thing all the time. Offal. It's not. It's certainly quite smelly. It's not very delicious at all. I wonder if we should follow that one or if we should stay here. I think let's stay here for a little while. I think that chap's headed off north, basically towards the boundary. The boundary is not far from where we are now, and he's gone up a game path. He's calling. He's just going, ooh, ooh. I think he's calling one of them. Sort of trying to entice his mates to go with him. But his friend is far too interested in eating the nyala, and the female, well, she's involved with the offal. And like I say, I think that nyala was probably killed yesterday morning sometime. And I can't remember seeing a nyala kill here before, Dorse in Pittsburgh, you say, what's going to happen to those what's going to happen to those beautiful nyala horns? Well, they'll probably just sit here, and eventually, I suppose, someone might pick them up. Hyenas might drag them off. They won't be eaten though, but eventually, Dorse, the inevitable thing that will happen is that the keratin sheath, which is the sort of dark bit there, because there's bone inside, what you can see, will be eaten by keratophagus, in other words, keratin-eating moths. They will lay their eggs in that keratin, and the larvae or caterpillars will hatch, and they'll eat away the keratin, and then the moths will fly away. Just looking at the one relatively fresh piece of meat there, maybe not yesterday morning. Maybe they were lucky and they killed it yesterday, sort of afternoonish. But it does smell pretty ripe. No, I'm going to say yesterday morning. He's calling. The other one is just in front and still calling. Ooh. Fantastic sighting. Gee, we've been lucky this morning. Chitra, you're in India. Wonderful to hear from you. You want to know if lions hide their kills? No, they don't. They don't have any need to, Chitra. Many animals do. Cheetah and leopard and smaller cats will certainly hide their kills. Lions are not scared, though. They're not afraid of anyone. they're not afraid that anyone's going to try and steal their kills from them, and so they don't have any need to hide from them, or to hide them. A female would be more likely to hide. Here comes the other male, he's coming back. A female would be more likely to hide her kill because, of course, she will have it scavenged by a large group of hyenas or a male lion. Male lions are the biggest scavengers that you find out here. See him, listen to his friend is growling at him now. Not pleased. It's just a really beautiful picture, that, isn't it? Oh, there, I mean, he's really posing beautifully. Very nice, Chandra. You like it? Or do you think, would you like more sun on his face?
Yeah, it's a bit backlit. A bit more depth. Yeah, there we go.
Chandra, the ultimate professional, disease coursing through his veins, but still he thinks of the picture. It's like a battlefield casualty, our friend Chandra, at the moment. You do seem to have a propensity to damage yourself, Chandra. Has it been since childhood?
You shouldn't leave planks with nails outside my door, James.
Chandra, don't be silly. People will get the wrong idea about her. Jen, a very good question, which I probably should have explained to you earlier. You want to know how far away from the other lions they are. Oh, there we go. There goes the piece of the kill. Oh, he's been very selfish, that other fellow. Jen, they're not too far. Probably about, you know what, only about a mile as the crow flies. Now we have them both eating, so that's interesting. One of them is clearly dominant over the other. That's very interesting. Often there's no dominance hierarchy within a coalition like this, but clearly this fellow was staying away from his brother or his cousin. Now I'm trying to age, or just exactly identify which of the Birminghams these are. I'm assuming they're the Birminghams. You know, we've seen them so little. So, I mean, I'm going to go with Birmingham here. If anybody has any other ideas, please let us know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who we are. Looking at the scars on their nose, those look pretty familiar. Those, of course, will change because they do fight a huge amount. Here comes the lioness. Look how she was prepared. She wasn't prepared to approach the other male, but this one she's prepared to take a chance with, and she's hardly eaten anything. Look how thin she is. That's really interesting. She is much skinnier. And Shamsun, you were wondering whether they would let her eat the meat. Well, I think you see largely in the initial stages of the kill, absolutely not. They won't let her. But clearly now that the kill has kind of been finished, they might. But this male certainly looked a lot more like he would let her compared with the other one. But the other one was not interested. He definitely wouldn't. He's still growling. He's still going. That's not Chandra's stomach. Marvellous sighting. Robin, you're obviously very sharp. You're looking at the top of her neck and saying, are those mating marks? Let me just apply my binoculars to that. Yeah, you know, there could well be. They'd certainly look like that could be the case. But, Robin, so just in case anybody doesn't know what Robin's talking about, when cats like this mate, what they do is the male will grab the female on the back of the neck and hold her down so that she doesn't swat him as he dismounts. And that could be marks from that kind of grabbing, but it could equally, there she goes, it could equally be from a fight over this food where she got smacked on the top of the head by the claws of one of these males. And to me, it looks more like a sharp cut, which would be a function of claws rather than teeth during the mating process. So Robin, I think that's what those wounds are, but definitely well spotted. That's fantastic. Now she will try and sort of move away from them to have something to eat. Now, the ultimate scavenger out here, everyone, is the male lion. So she may well have killed this nyala on her own and had it thieved from her by these two males. You just move out the way. Aubrey's going to try and get out of here. Just move so that Orbs can get out. Right, while we're moving, let's go across to Brent, find out how his tracking expedition's going, and we'll see you back here shortly.
So the tracking is still going. We found the tracks crossing the little river system. Herbert's going to go check down there now, and he asked me to come check here. And literally 5 minutes after we've left him, we have an impediment in the road. And I'm trying to think how to move it. What do you think, Brian? I think this one is a chainsaw job, I'm afraid. It's got lots of nasty thorns on it. I think definitely chainsaw. We're going to try and find a way to drive around it. So we are hoping, and it seems from his tracks from yesterday that this male leopard is somewhere around here, and there's a strong possibility he might have some meat that hopefully he's put up a tree. So we're going to keep working this area. And hopefully we can emulate James and produce the second cat species of the day. And I hope everyone at home is having a wonderful weekend so far and enjoying not having to worry about work tomorrow morning, so you get to spend more time with us on safari. Bouncy. Okay. We are around the traffic jam, or not the traffic jam, the elephant impediment that they popped on the road. For the first time I actually ever walked Tingana on foot was in this block to the left of us. And it was also the same time where I nearly stood on it. Hopefully. Now this is our big problem while tracking this morning. And just to get forward a little bit for you there, Brian, you see him. Now this is our big problem while tracking this morning. Is the huge amount of elephants that are around. So we're not going to try off-road into that block, especially not in this vehicle. So we've already ducked and dived around 3 different groups of elephants while on foot this morning, and this is the 4th.
It's too loud, dude.
Okay, so apparently we've got some comms issues. So I have to stand up next to the top mic. But as I said, this is the biggest problem for us while we're tracking the leopard, is the amount of elephants that are around at the moment. We've ducked and dived and missed 3 different groups. This is the 4th. Hoping they don't affect the leopards' route too much, because the leopards are like us, tend to want to avoid elephants while walking through the bush. And you can hear there's a lot more out that way. Okay, well, let's carry on. Maybe we'll get some closer to the road. And this one's not so bad. We don't have to go on a long drive around. Bouncy bounce. And another one. In the dry season, the elephant's pushing down so many trees. It's a constant battle to keep the roads clear. We haven't found any tracks coming out here yet. We're going to keep looking for the leopard. While we do that, let's go back to Africa's biggest cat.
Well, not much has happened except that this male has just got up now. He's left the sort of last bits of head that there were. I don't know where he's going now. Slight limp on his left front. Not unusual for a male lion, of course. They do fight extensively all the time. Let me sneak forward here. Aubrey is still in the sighting, but not by his own design. He's unfortunately fallen into a hole. One advantage of these little cars, old and as decrepit as they may be, they are really good at sort of manoeuvring around the place. I'm just going to stop here. I don't want to get in anyone's way. Let's just stop here for now. Move on. Lovely yellow eyes. I just love the golden colour of his eyes. And now that's where the female was lying when we arrived here. And now he's showing a flehmen grimace. So he's checking whether she's ready to mate. So it's well possible that she is in estrus or about to come into estrus. I think his mane is maybe slightly darker than the other ones. It would indicate a greater level of testosterone. Look at that. I'll explain what he's doing now. So everybody, while you're sitting at home, what I would like you to do is to kind of pull your top lip up like he just did there. And I mean, obviously, if you're with other people, this might be quite an amusing process. But try and replicate what he's doing there, and while you do it, take a deep breath in. And that's what he's doing. And he's opening up a tract to what's called the vemeronasal organ, or organ of Jacobson. And the organ of Jacobson will interpret, basically, any pheromones that there are in her urine. And those pheromones will tell him if she's in estrus or not. Now, he doesn't actually know what he's doing. I think it's entirely subconscious. But if the pheromones in the urine indicate she's in estrus, he will obviously have a surge of testosterone, and his desire for her will become almost overwhelming, and mating will then ensue. If, however, there is no testosterone, or she is not in estrus, here she comes. This guy's got a real look about him. His mane's got much bigger. It's got so long that it's starting to fall to the side on the top of his head. See his little limp? It's actually the right front. Look at that. In E.B. Murphy, I don't know if mane colour indicates virility, but what it does do is it indicates dominance and it indicates testosterone level. Now we know that, you know, in our own species, men who don't have high levels of testosterone are not necessarily infertile, but they'll be less likely to engage in fights and they'll probably be less likely to try and mate. And it's exactly the same with the lions here. And the blackness of his mane is interesting to me, and also the fact that that other male kept his distance. The other male wanted nothing to do with that big fellow while he was eating. Andre, I know this is not ideal, but I think you might also still be able to get a picture of the male. But if I move back again, I think you're going to get both. Here she comes. She's looking at Andre, smelling something in the way of a carcass. Hello, Sandy. While we're sitting here, this lion is only about 3 feet from us. Look at the injury on her back left leg. Now, Sandy, you want to know if these lions ever choke from bones? No, they don't. You know, lions, it was 1 foot from Gendre. That's fantastic. Here comes the male. Sandy, very few animals will choke on bones, and in fact there's a very strong school of thought that says that dogs and cats that we keep domestically, which we think will choke on bones, that will not choke on bones, that they're designed to eat bones. I thought he was going to come right past us. What a brilliant sighting. Fantastic stuff. All right. Very nice, Andre. How did you feel there? Other than obviously infected?
I had a smile, Jay.
You had a smile. Well done. Good job. Right. While we're turning around, Brenty's got some elephants. Let's go and have a look at them.
So we're on the other side of that elephant we just barely saw through the bush, and there's this massive herd here. And we're just gonna get a little bit closer. There were some young boys playing around. The big cow here. Oh, the tree is going to go. And thankfully, it wasn't across the road. Justin's wondering if elephants push down trees to entertain themselves. Well, Justin, no. They push down trees to feed off them, as you can see. Now, that female who's pushed down the tree has made the top branches more accessible to the youngster. And they would not have been able to feed off those branches until she pushed down the tree. So look at this. There's literally, there's hundreds of elephants on Jumo at the moment. Oh, Herbert's getting hold of me. Go ahead, Herbert. Okay, copy. I will come fetch you now. So Herbert is stuck on the other side of the elephant. For this Meningen drove here, I'll be with you in about 5-6 minutes. Sorry about that. So, Herbert, if you're not sure who he is our tracker. And he's out trying to find this leopard. He said he's heard some kudu alarm calls behind us. Oh, look at those two. Having a little morning push around. What are you two boys up to? Fighting through the trees? Oh, hello, little men. Quite common to see young bulls pushing each other around frequently. Making lots of dust. I'm going to move forward a little bit, right? There you go, how's that?
Yeah, it's good.
Hello, misters. They're going to come right on the road in front of us. They might get inquisitive and come inspect us, being mischievous young boys. Yes, hello. Hello, yes, we're very big and strong and scary. Giving us a nice little sniff now. Hey, mister. Yes. They do look funny when they reverse. But he's reversing from the bigger young bull who he's playing with. Oh, look at that. Now when they get a little bit older than this, these playful behaviors become a bit of a problem. Because they can get quite serious around the little cards. Now when they're probably about 5 or 6 years older than this, they're pushed to the peripheries of the herds. Although at the moment we're seeing young bulls, everything intermersed. They're just masses of elephants. Brian, there's something going on, sort of greeting. Just started happening there. Looks like it was just two adult females that sort of started greeting each other in kind of strange way. There's a bit of ears there we go. You could see something wasn't quite square there. So I think it's a young bull on the other side, and I think that female might be getting a little bit annoyed with him. And off to the right, those other two were playing and found a third playmate. Now they've wrapped. Have you got? I'm not sure where you are. Sorry, guys. I don't have a monitor today, so I'm guessing where Brian's pointing the camera. There's just so much action happening in these big breeding herds. Okay, so while we go continue our search for this elusive leopard, we're going to go back to James, who's got a male lion on the move.
He's quite close to us, everyone. He's on the move, heading towards Sydney's Dam where we saw the others. And he's now moving with a purpose. I don't know where the other one went. I suspect he's in front of this chap, but this is the last guy that we saw. What a morning. So we'll follow him. We're very close to the boundary, and we'll just see what he does. But I don't know where the other one is, or where the female went. Jean-Ray reckoned the female went south. I think he's absolutely correct. So it's not unusual that she wouldn't follow him. So now, basically, we've got another 200 meters before he'll go north across the boundary. He's marking his territory. Watch him spray. Let's carry on a bit. He's walking with a purpose. I don't know where the other one went. That's quite interesting. I think he went north probably quite a lot sooner than this chap did. Let's get around in front of him and we'll get a last view of him coming round. Hold on everyone, a couple of bumps. And now you can backlight him if you want, Jean-Ray.
Oh, thank you, James.
I do what I can for you, you know.
Oh, yes, you do. No, forward.
You see him?
Yeah.
Watch everybody, watch your heads. So once he goes north of the road here, like I say, that's going to be it. Yeah? Oh, now he's turned. Let's see if he comes back this way. Oh. You just tell me when you want to move, Jean-Ray. Just beautiful to watch them moving like that. Big road. He's still there. Still get a view of him. Now Andrew, of course, is allowed to go into Buffelshoek, so that's lucky for him. Know what he can hear. Probably listening, yes, for the other male. Now, I remain convinced that these Birmingham boys are not the tallest lions, but this guy has filled out a lot since we first met him, and his mane has got a lot fuller. There's a herd of buffalo to the north of us as well. That's why he turned his head there. I heard them going, "Bow," belching. Oh, he's calling, listen. He just went, oh, oh. Not a full-blooded call. Thank you all for your screenshot. That's wonderful. It's always a joy to see them. Sorry, Jean-Ray. Still want to get in the way of the other game drive. All right, I'm going to try and get around him for one last view, everybody. And then I think he is going to turn north. So, excuse the bumps and bruises. We're just going to see if we can get another nice view from the front of him. Is that any good to you, Jean-Ray? I do what I can, you know. It's only because you're a sicky boy, though.
Kiss it better, James.
No, thank you. That'd be disgusting. Oh, he's a wonderful fellow. Did you hear that little ho? And there he goes, everybody. So that's it. That was our lion sighting for the morning. Brilliant stuff. 2 lion sightings. I'm sure he's going to join. And we will head possibly on to Buffelshoek Dam, and we'll see what we can find there. What a joy. We'll just watch him until he disappears. Starting to warm up nicely now. I think we've probably got 5 or 6 degrees Celsius on when we began. So we're probably sitting at about, well, maybe not quite that. I wasn't just having a rest there, everyone. I was, you loved that, didn't you, Jean-Andre? You thought that was very funny, catching me lying down there.
I did indicate that.
Yes, I know you did. I was staying out of your way, everyone. I wasn't just having a rest. Okay, I think we're going to head on towards Buffelshoek Dam, like I say. Apparently it's now 16 degrees Celsius or 61 degrees Fahrenheit. So a bit warmer than when we started. Wonderful. Good stuff. Jean-Andre, on we go. Let's hope that your rotting body continues to attract predators to us for the rest of the day. There's his foot, everyone. It doesn't smell entirely dissimilar to that kudu, at least that nyala. So we were told initially that that they'd killed a kudu, but it was definitely a nyala. All right, Brent's got some more elephants. He's having a wonderful time with the elephants. Let's go and have a look.
So the elephants are providing us with so much entertainment at the moment. They're literally all around us. And the eddies are all around us. And it's probably a good 70 or 80 at least in this block. Oh, what's going on behind me? I'm just going to go back a little bit. So we can see there's elephants to the right, to the left. Look, it's playing soccer. Isn't that incredible? There's an elephant playing soccer. Now that is just purely playing. Amazing. That is incredible. I've seen them play with pieces of stone or sand before, but not for generally that long, and keeping on kicking it. Well, our national soccer team needs a new striker. Oh, there was a handball with the trunk there. Oh, is the game up? Now we're going to kick some wildebeest dung now. It's not quite as fun as the big piece of stick. I mean, it's not sand though. What are you doing, elephant? Is it going to find another soccer ball in that pile of sand there, or is it going to move on? No, time for a snack. So just quickly, very interesting behavior by baby Ellie there. And all the Ellies have come into this dark soil that's been dug from the bottom of what was Treehouse Dam originally. So that clay soil there. And it looks to me like they found some minerals in that soil that's been dug out. And they are all busy just breaking off pieces of it. So it could be high in salt, could be high in iron. And the baby, not able to use its trunk well yet, has been kneeling down and putting its mouth to the soil. It's actually picking up pieces of the clay and eating it. Generally that means this has got a high salt content. And Treehouse Dam is on a seep line, so a lot of those minerals and salts will collect and travel with the water down to a point where it hits the clay. So that's why this clay is probably very, very nutritious for the elephants, and why this area is so popular for elephants. Look, there's another little one going on his knees. He's trying to get the mouth right down to pick up. This is really, really amazing. Oh. You too, madam. You too. I don't know what she said, but I agree with her. Almost was like, this is good. Very, very interesting behavior. There we go, munching on a bit more salty clay. I'm definitely going to have to come taste this clay once the elephants are gone, see if we can try to figure out what they're after. I'm pretty sure it could be salt, could be iron, but I think it's more than likely salt. Oh, soccer player's back. Is it playing soccer again? Or is it coming to inspect us, so I'm going to be in the way? No, not playing soccer. Went past its ball. Spoiled child's bored of it already. Sorry. Or will the next one be the soccer star? I think in India they play elephant soccer or elephant polo. No interest in the ball. Inquisitive, just throwing a little stick away. Yes. And young Eddies are so wonderful. They are so playful. There's that baby that just popped up in one. Just watch him carefully. And you can see he's chewing something. He's going down on his knees again. So unfortunately it seems like we're having a few audio issues this morning. I've got to sit up next to the camera, but isn't this just amazing? not being stalked currently. So you never know where to look. There's just so many of these all over the place. So there's the next one stalking us. Oh, there's two stalking us. You thought I didn't see you. Oh no, game's up now that being spotted. It's far more fun until we turned. I'll move forward a slight bit. The stalk is over. The stalk is over. There's the soccer ball sitting in the middle of the field. A very warm welcome to Justin. Justin's wondering how heavy is the average elephant. Average weight for females is probably about 3.5 tons, and for males probably 5 tons, but they can get as heavy in this area as 6.5 ton. The heaviest ever recorded elephant was from southern Angola, and that was 9 tons. Very, very spread out at the moment, probably over about 1.5 kilometers. And unfortunately the male leopard we've been tracking all morning has tried to miss them. Herbert is still on the tracks, what a champion. And we are going to go give him a hand shortly. I think we will leave the soccer playing and clay eating elephants for now and go for a little meander. While we continue our search for the male leopard, if we have no luck, definitely going to come back to these elephants, and let's go see what Commander Bond is up to.
So we're just heading towards Buffelshoek Dam now, like we were going to initially, everyone. I'm just listening to the radio again. There's just some mention of Karula on the radio, but Brent is in that area, so he will be hearing if it's something that we can go and look at. And there were reports of lions calling around here earlier this morning, so let's just keep an eye out here. We might be lucky. We're not far from where that female had her little baby cubs, which we desperately want to see, of course, because there's nothing in the world cuter than a baby lion cub. They're not very cute when they're large, of course. Like that. You certainly wouldn't describe that blood-bespattered, roaring Birmingham boy as cute. Well, I wouldn't. Now, let's ease around here and we'll just check into the clearings. Chilly morning like this, lions will often come into clearings and lie in the sun for a while before they move into the shade to rest for the rest of the day. And maybe there'll be something actually at the water. Sandy, very nice question about whether or not a lion will kill for fun when he's full like that. No, he won't kill for fun, Sandy, but if the opportunity arises to kill something to eat, he will often kill something to eat, and maybe not eat it. So it is quite likely, it's quite likely that they will kill and then just sort of leave the carcass and then eat it later. He wasn't, I mean, that Nyala wouldn't have gone that far to feeding both of those males. She hardly had any of it at all. Certainly wouldn't have fed her. But if the opportunity arises, cats are tremendously opportunistic, and leopards, we know, for example, will stash various carcasses in trees if they're lucky enough to kill more than one thing at a time. We're nearly at the water, the great lake that is Beefle's Hook Dam. Some nice hippo there yesterday. Hello, Mike in Florida. You say you've been driving across the United States for the last few weeks, and therefore you've missed many drives. And your bird list currently sitting at 237 is extremely impressive. But you want to know, I guess, had there been sort of additions maybe that you may have missed? I don't think so. I mean, of your 237 birds, I can't think of anything particularly unusual that we've seen. And that, of course, is, well, I mean, you've got 237. It's unlikely to get much bigger than that, especially in a dry year. What we'll have in wet years is you'll have all sorts of specials coming through very briefly, and that's when we get what we call the vagrants added to the Djuma bird list. But in a dry year like this, especially into the winter, it's unlikely there'll be anything that you haven't seen yet. Oh, there is a hippopotamus. What else can we see? There is a grey heron. There we go. Hello, Maya. You're just 4 years old and you live in Australia. It's very nice to have you with us, and thank you for asking us a question. You want to know about crocodiles and where they are. Well, crocodiles, Maya, can be anywhere. And although we can't see any here now, it's not impossible that there's a crocodile lurking under the surface of the water here. So we never know where they are. It's more likely that they'll be in a river rather than a piece of water like this, which is called a dam. It's much more likely they'll be in a river that's flowing with water, but a crocodile could be in here, you know. And so in Africa, we never go into the water unless we have made it ourselves and unless there's a fence around it, because there could be a crocodile anywhere here. And I'm sure the same goes for you in northern Australia. I don't think that you'd go wandering into the water there unless you were very, very, very sure that there weren't any crocodiles. And remember, crocodiles can move between areas of water. So some days there'll be no crocodiles here. And then one day you'll pitch up here and you'll think about sticking your toes into the water, and a crocodile will rise up and sink down again into the water. And so we don't ever swim in the water here, because we just don't ever know if there's going to be a crocodile or not. Let's have a little bit of a listen, everyone. See what we can hear. Wonderful sounds of baboons alarm calling this morning, or not alarm calling, just shouting at each other. Those baboons are still calling around the camp. We might head sort of back in that general direction. Brian, you're interested in whether hippos rut or not. No, I don't know that you'd call it rutting. I don't know what the etymology of the word rut is, actually, and where it comes from. But I think you only use the term to describe sort of sparring or fighting antelope and deer, I think. They do fight, though. Male hippos certainly will fight over females, but it's a slightly different situation in that they live in a permanent group with a bull and a herd or pod of females. And the bulls might challenge each other, and young bulls might fight with each other, but you don't have a situation like you do with, say, impala or kudu, where outside of the rutting season, the males live together and the females live together in kind of separate sex groups, And then during the rutting season, when the testosterone levels are coursing in their veins, the females are sort of set upon, if you like, by the males. And the males fight with each other for sort of dominance over a harem, and which is temporary for the duration of the mating season. The hippo don't have that situation. So I don't think you describe it as rutting, no, but they certainly do fight viciously. They can injure each other quite badly. Alrighty, I think let's move on from here. I think we're going to go down through the middle of the reserve and see what we can pick up there. Very nice. Oh, just quickly before we stop, before we go, Kim, you're in South Carolina and you want to know about fish. You want to know if there will be fish in here. Well, there's a grey heron there, and that grey heron will almost certainly be fishing, Kim. So yes, there will be fish. I think you'll find as this waterhole dries out, certainly there will be a greater number of obvious fish. So, I mean, when the water gets... If the water stands for a long time, you will definitely find obvious signs of catfish. They get pretty big pretty quickly. But I think at the moment, you'll find that there are tilapia, and there are probably the odd catfish lurking around below the depths here. But not that many, because remember, this dam dried out completely, and it's had water now in it probably for about 3 months. And so the fish are probably quite small still. Right here. Thank you, Kim. All the way from South Carolina. So the plan now is going to be to head sort of towards the south of the reserve. I don't know how many of you were watching last night, but Karula and 2 babies, still both alive and well, crossed south down into Little Gowrie, which is the reserve to the south of us. And with any luck, she might bring them back. I suspect, though, quite strongly, that she's killed inside Little Gowrie and that she'd stashed the cubs on Juma, and she's going to look for them. Now, Brent has found some tracks of the leopard that he has been seeking all morning.
So we've got Herbert, and Herbert's done an absolutely sterling job, and he's tracked Tingana all the way on foot from about 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers that way. But we've got some bad news. As you can see, I'm standing on our southern boundary, and his tracks go straight through into Little Gowrie. So not great for us, great for the guys down there, but with every track that goes out, there's got to be a track that comes in. So we're going to go see if we can find a track coming in. We've got to try keep up with James, you know, Catterday and all that. Catterday is normally my thing. I'm the one who finds the cats, but no, I'm very happy James has found you some cats, and we're going to go try find you some more. If we get no other luck, I'm definitely going to go do one of my favorite things, and that's park in the middle of a breeding herd of elephants and just see what happens. Okay, so we're going to head east for a bit. Now, I know Karula was seen crossing out last night, but you know, fingers crossed and all that, eternal optimism that she might come back. Okay, so really, really important to check nicely, and it's so wonderful having Herbert with me as an extra set of eyes on the back. Make sure while I'm talking to you we don't miss any tracks. I don't know, I've got a feeling. Brian, what do you think? Did Karula come back?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. We are very hopeful people here.
We are.
Nevertheless, I got to see first for me, and that was the soccer elephant. Definitely showed some good skills there, knocking that clay lump back and forth. So Jamal has asked about how much distance elephant might cover in a year. Now that is a very difficult question to answer, Jamal, and it all depends on where you are. So a lot of animal behavior is area specific rather than species specific. And I'd probably guess, sure, in this area, and again this is a complete guess, I'm figuring it out. I don't know, some of the herds will cover more than others. The elephant bulls will cover much more. I know for a fact in northern Botswana, but the elephants there travel much bigger distances due to the nature of the bush there. So in that area, I know for a fact that one elephant bull was recorded doing 6,000 kilometers in a year, which is massive. I think ours probably do 1,000, the breeding herds a couple of hundred. But it all depends. And this year, you probably find they're going to do a lot more than they would normally do because of the drought. And access to water and food is going to be further apart. No tracks just yet. Now this is the area we've been seeing Karula crossing back and forth quite regularly in the last little while. So we're about to head down to the valley. The Moati is a little river system that runs through the heart of Yuma. And a very, very productive area for lots of different animals. But we're having a bit of signal issues down in this low area with our improvised setup. So let's go back to James so he can tell you what he's up to.
There we have some dwarf mongoose, everybody. Just coming out to have a nice rest in the sun. Very nice. They kind of ran back in there as we arrived, but now they've got used to our presence, and it's amazing how quickly they become confiding. Look at them all coming out of their little block of flats, thinking about going off to have breakfast. Very civilized hours they keep, do the dwarf mongoose. And in the background you can hear the lovely, lovely call of the orange-breasted bush shrike. A lot of little ones here. There's a little one especially about to pop out there, Gendry. That one at the top, or midway up, is a tiny little one. And they'll be very careful about where they move. Watching all the time. They all act as security guard for the rest of the troop. So they'll be looking around for birds of prey, for snakes, for larger sort of carnivores. And then they'll make loud alarm calling noises. And they just love the early morning sun, especially in the winter time. They love to sit and they groom each other, scratch each other. And of course that grooming does play an enormously important role in the life of the troop. It reaffirms their social bonds and apparently plays quite a large role in the dominance hierarchy of a troop of mongoose. And it is apparently, I actually learned this yesterday from Yanni, the grooming prowess of a dwarf mongoose can often define where in the hierarchy they sit. And there's separate male and female hierarchies, a little bit like in a wild dog pack or wolf pack. Right, well, we're going to ease along the road here. And in fact, let's just sit for a little bit longer and see who comes out. Smiles nice question from you about this home and whether they move dens every so often. Smiles, you'll find that they'll have probably one or two main dens that they use within that little territory, but that there are a number of temporary refuges that they can use at any one time. So at any stage in their foraging range, if one of them makes an alarm call, they'll kind of disappear into the nearest refuge. Now that might be a log, most likely a termite mound, but there'll be some known refuges all the way through the foraging range that they utilize. But there'll be two or three. Those lions are calling, everyone. I can hear them yelling far off to the northwest. And it's interesting, it's as I said that, those two little chaps looked up. I mean, they can't possibly think that they're in danger from those lions. I mean, they're so far away. Lovely picture of them there. They just love the sun, and it's the most peaceful thing to sit and watch dwarf mongoose like this, because, of course, for many of us, getting up in the morning is not an easy thing, especially if we've had a late night. And dwarf mongoose find it very difficult to get up in the morning, and they start the day off at a very leisurely pace, which I think is so nice. Oops. James Richard, you want to know which of our mongoose species has the largest distribution? I don't know, but I do have a very nice new book, James. So let's just look together quickly, and we'll look at all of them. They ran away, I'm afraid, because I lifted the aerial. I couldn't hear Kirsten properly, and I lifted the aerial, and they were very cross, and so they left. But I think they'll come back now. I'll just have a quick look in this book, and we'll look at the distribution throughout Africa of all the mongoose species. That will take us to roughly 9:30. I'm joking, of course. Ha 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 ha. Right, so far, these are what's mongoose that we don't find here. We do find the marsh mongoose. That's interesting. So the marsh mongoose actually looks like the most widely distributed mongoose. That's it there, and that's a picture of him here. We're supposed to get a marsh mongoose here, but you won't find them in this area. It would have to be a lot wetter than this. But they basically occur everywhere other than in the Kalahari Desert and then north of the Sahara. So I think that's probably the most widely distributed. Of the ones we get here, look at the white-tailed mongoose there. That's his distribution. So he occurs pretty much in the same regions as the marsh mongoose. But interestingly, those little white gaps there are the true deserts. So the deserts of the Namib and the Kalahari, the Western Cape, and nobody really wants to live there. And then, of course, the deep forests of the Congo Basin. That's the little white bit there. But everywhere else where the habitat is similar to where it is here, the white-tailed mongoose will occur. I'm just going to check if they're at the others. I can't see. Oh, the slender mongoose is even more widely distributed. There's the slender mongoose. So the slender mongoose at the moment is the winner. We haven't seen the dwarf mongoose here yet. I'll have a quick look now. Black-legged, bushy-tailed, meerkat, banded. We do get banded, but they're not very widely distributed. And the dwarf is not as widely distributed. There's the dwarf there. Very nice question, thank you, James. So slender mongoose or marsh mongoose, which, I mean, it's possible you might find a marsh mongoose here every so often, but it would be very unlikely. Lovely. Good. Sorry, chaps, we're going to go past you. You go and have your fry up inside, and then enjoy your foraging today. Good luck. I just love the call of the orange-breasted bushshrike. It's so soothing. Amanda, you want to know if there are any animals that are very rare to be spotted out here? Yes, there are, absolutely. The pangolin would be the most obvious example. Brent has seen one. That was the first one in 9 years of operating here at Safari Live. Brent saw one about 2.5 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so that would be a tremendously rare one to see. Aardvark would also be tremendously rare to see. What have you got, John? We've just lost some beds. Looks like a conflagration of white crested helmet shrikes here. Can you see one? They're now flying off. In fact, there's a whole lot. There's a real bird party going on here. White crested helmet shrikes. There are southern black tits going bzz, 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 bzz. Drongos going. There's one there. You like my new drongo call, Andre? I've been working on it.
No.
Not.
It sounds like a chicken.
Does not sound like a chicken, Andre. It's because your ear has become infected by your foot. And then in the background, the white-browed scrub robin. Blue waxbills. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Suddenly there was a huge conflagration of birds. And I'm sure what they've been doing here, there's been some emergence of insects, or somebody found some insects and told all the rest. So another rare rare animal or rare mammal would be an aardvark, which is a sort of long-nosed anteater or ant bear, they're also known as. But of course, when we say animal, remember that we mean anything from the kingdom Animalia, and quite often we only think of mammals as animals, but mammals, at least animals, can mean reptiles, amphibians, all the arthropods, all the thousands of species of insects. And so I don't know about the insects. I'm sure that there are many rare ones that are perhaps only occur in this area, but there are so many that people don't actually know about. So you might find that they are some of the rarest animals that we get here. I'm going to keep sort of slightly to the east of Juma and just see if we don't pick up any tracks of that lioness with her cubbies. But it's still quite early for her to be moving them, so I don't think so. Then we might do a brief foray to Cheetah Plains, but we'll see how the time is. I am hoping that Brent will find tracks of Karula. And Shay, you're in Israel. Lovely to hear from you, and you say you'd want to see some finches. Well, there's a Nyala bull, who's looking a bit sad, of course, because he lost a cousin to the lions. Sorry about that, old fella. Shay, while Jean-Andre shows you the Nyala, I will retrieve my bird book and I'll show you a picture of some of the finches that we might get here, or finch-like birds. He's gone, hasn't he? Very unconfiding of him. So, I mean, I guess you would consider a canary a kind of a finch, and the yellow-fronted canary is what we find here. But this whole section of the bird book is dedicated to finch-like birds. And so these things are called widow finches, and we get 3 species of widow finch or indigo bird. And they're very lovely. I won't go through all of them now. And then, well, the widers are a bit like finches, I suppose. The manakins are definitely finches. 3 species of manakin. Be very lucky to see them all here. And then the more sort of, I guess you could say, classic finches would be the cutthroat finch, which might occur here. I've never seen it here. And then you could also get some of these waxbills. So lots of them. They're always so beautifully coloured. And we do get orange-breasted waxbill. We get, no, we don't get black-cheeked. We get the blue waxbill very commonly, the common waxbill sometimes, and then everyone wants to see the violet-eared waxbill. And those are the finches. 1 or 2 different other kinds, but those are the main ones that we might find here. Replace that in its little hutch. And on we go. just turn the radio up again so I can hear what's going on, in case there's anything of importance, like Karula being spotted or Shadow being spotted. It'd be very nice to see her too. We might actually also think about heading west towards Arethusa to see if we can't get an update from them. I've often wondered this myself, you know. E.B. Murphy, you say, when a leopardess stashes her cubs, what do they do? And, I mean, you know that if you've got a puppy or you've got a kitten, they get bored, don't they? So I think the older they get, the more they play. So if we were to find Karula's 4-month-old cubs now on their own, I think you'd find that if they weren't asleep, they'd be playing with each other, wrestling. They'd be going up trees, climbing down out of trees. And then eventually, when they get a little bit older, so for example, Sandile, when Shadow used to leave him, he's now a 2-year-old male leopard, but he was a year old, and then he would go off hunting. He was, I knew him for about 4 months, and he'd go off hunting on his own, see if he could catch a mongoose or a squirrel or something like that. And so that's what those 2 little cubs will do once they get a little bit older. And I think you'll find, if they find things like lizards or termites, they'll definitely investigate what they taste like, and their natural cat instinct to pounce and catch will overtake. Now Brent has got a striped dressage pony to show you, so rather than me waffling, let's go and have a look at that.
So here we are. We're on the eastern edge of our traverse, and we've got a little harem of zebras. Now what's interesting is we're going to see a huge influx of zebras as it gets more and more dry, and the water surrounding the Sabi sands dries up. So I think we're going to be filled with a very striped dry season, and they are such wonderful creatures to watch, and very aggressive, believe it or not, and they often fight amongst each other with some serious venom. I actually apologize. I don't think this is a harem, now that I can see the other clearly. I think it's actually a little bachelor group. So not uncommon to find a few male zebra together. They're normally young or old, and they're unable to challenge for breeding rights with females. I'm going to try to sneak a bit forward. How's that, Brian? Good? So there we go. You can see size difference in the 3 individuals there, and the one in the front looks to be the oldest of the 3, and the one at the back the youngest. Now bulk grazers, so they're not very picky about what grass they eat, and being hindgut fermenters, they always look very fat and healthy. Now, the best way to tell when a zebra loses condition is its mane actually starts flopping. These 3 boys look like they are doing well. And if you look carefully, you notice when they get a bit close to each other, watch their ears, just like horses. The ears go flat, and that means they're a little bit upset. And that can often lead to some biting and kicking. Did you see the ears go flat there on the middle one when that younger one bumped up against his bottom? And of course there's the fork-tailed drongo, feeding off any insects disturbed by them. Well, let's reverse again. They moved again. Oh, well. Say when, Brian? Oh, there we go. A little window through the bush willows. So Justin says he's heard that zebras are hard to domesticate. And why is that? Well, there's quite a few different reasons. They're also very temperamental. So they can be very aggressive with other zebras and with other animals around them. Their main reason is, well, apart from the fact that they're hard to domesticate, they're very hard to tame down. And quite often they die very easily in captivity and very quickly. And the next big problem is that they're not very strong. So a horse has been bred and by people, and each individual has been genetically chosen to be able to take a weight on its back for stamina, whereas a zebra lacks those qualities. They very much battle to carry anything, and they don't have long stamina, especially not when they're carrying something. Now, there has been a few people who have successfully domesticated zebras, and one of the more famous ones used to come into the Lowveld, using them to pull his donkey cart. When he would have needed 2 donkeys, he needed 6 zebras so they could last the trip. And the main reason that was done is because this used to be fly country. So there used to be tsetse flies all over here, and most horses or oxen that were brought into the area would have died immediately from sleeping sickness. Now, the tsetse fly has been eradicated from this part of the world, and we can now have horses and ox wagons, but fortunately we've got cars instead these days. It makes getting around a little bit easier. And the trip from Johannesburg by road in the good old days was said to take about a month and a half. These days it's about 5 hours. Okay, well, let's leave the zebras to carry on bulk grazing and see what else we can find. Now, I was a very silly Billy and I forgot my hat today. And I can see Jamie left hers in the car, but I don't think it's going to work. I think it might be a bit small on me. I don't know, what do you guys think? Does it fit? Does it work, Brian?
It looks pretty good.
Brian says it looks pretty good, so we'll leave it there for a while. And I'm definitely not going to be able to go particularly fast because it'll blow off. But I forgot my cap this morning. And actually, it's sitting so high, it's actually not stopping any sun at all. But maybe not. I'll just take that off and keep my warm hat because it is still a bit chilly. So you can see this really harsh light around me as the sun gets a bit higher, and it's almost white out there, and that's all the dust in the air. So that white out is caused by dust. So the sun is reflecting off those dust particles. So it can make the light very harsh during the day at this time of the year. Also, there's so much of it around, I think there might even be a fire somewhere far away, and we're getting smoke from that. And that's also increasing the sort of white out we're getting. And it is what would be traditionally deemed a fire season, although there's going to be very few fires this year because it is so dry, there's no grass to burn. It'll be very difficult for a fire to actually take hold and get going. Well, in our area at least. So, always great to have questions from Lucy in South Bend, Indiana. Always good, interesting questions. Lucy wants to know, do we have any white butterflies to show her? Lucy, it is a tough time for butterflies at this time of the year, and it's still a bit early for them to get moving. But there are some white butterfly species that are still out and about. The most common of these will be the brown-veined white. They're a butterfly we see throughout the year. There might be a few African vagrants still about, and we do see them throughout the year, but they're typically more common in the summer months. But Lucy, we will be keeping our eyes peeled, and hopefully we'll be able to find you a white butterfly on request, because we failed dismally. Tingana managed to get ahead of us and was off the property before we could catch up with him. So unfortunately, we got no tracks along the southern edge of our Travis area just yet. I always like coming to check this area because I always have that sort of suspicion that one of my favorite leopards might be about, and he's very unrelaxed, so he's quite a challenging leopard to get on camera and even just to view briefly, and his name is Gajima. So the boundary between him and Tingana is in this area. So Tingana is the dominant male over the majority of Juma, but Gajima's got this wonderful little corner, and I always like coming to check, see if we can find his tracks. And he's a bit younger than Tingana, but he is going to be a really impressive specimen when he's a bit older. So, hi Joey. Joey's asking which are my favorite leopards. And that's a very, very personal question because everyone's got their own favorites. I think I really like Tingana, but I think I like Gajima just a little bit more. And on the female leopard side, oof, it's a difficult one, but I think I'm definitely going to go for Inkanyanini. The leopard we see down on Cheetah Plains. I think she is absolutely gorgeous. And I know I'm probably going to get lambasted because I didn't say Karula, but I think personally I just like her look and her vibe. So a while ago we got a press release from the Mpumalanga Parks Board about the release of Sindile, who, for those of you not sure who Sindile is, he's a young male leopard who was born to Shadow, part of Karula's first litter, and just under a year ago he had caught a dog that tested positive for rabies. So he had to go into quarantine for quite a long time, and he was released early last month. And Elizabeth's wondering, are there any updates? I'm afraid not, Elizabeth. The scientists are monitoring that collar, and no one has access to that apart from them. But we haven't heard that he's expired or been caught by a male, so I'm sure he's doing just fine, and we're not sure exactly where he is. So no updates on that front. While we continue our meander through the African bush, let's see how James's meander is going.
I'm glad to hear that Brent is still in Africa. That is a relief. Through the African bush is Brent. So are we, of course. We're also still in Africa, and we're heading towards what we call Leadwood Road, which is to the southeast of Juma. I think we're probably not going to go to Cheetah Plains this morning. There were a couple of vehicles there this morning. They didn't find anything, and I think given the hour we're going to continue searching around here. Now, this is where we had Karula's tracks coming before she disappeared, and then she was seen yesterday. So maybe she's got something in this general vicinity. So it's definitely going to be worth having a look around here. Let's see what else there is too. Oh, Jean-Andre, do you know what I've spotted? Will you believe, can you believe it?
No, I can't.
There is an impala. Standing with its legs stuck out behind it, most likely because it's just had a wee. That was an awesome sighting, wasn't it, Jean-Andre?
Yes.
Well done. Oh, there's another one, hang on.
Riveting.
There it goes. Very nice. Now, I'm being a bit sarcastic and facetious, everyone, but I do think that you should stop for impala at least once every day. Because they're very beautiful. There should not be a... Look what he's doing. I'm being genuine now in my interest. We've seen that before today, everyone. We saw that, of course, with the lion who was testing the female. And that male may well have been testing a female who'd gone there. In fact, no, he definitely wasn't. We just watched the first one have a wee there. And what he's doing there, everyone, is it's not only that they test for mating, they'll test for all sorts of different things. And he was doing, just lifting his top lip and exposing the vimeronasal organ. Would you like me to do that again, John?
Yes, please. One more time, lip a bit higher.
Okay.
Yes. Beautiful.
Thank you. I especially liked screwing my eyes up while looking at the sun and opening the tract to my Jacobson's organ.
It suits you.
It does. I agree with you. I'm afraid I've lost communications again with the final controls, Andre, so you're going to have to tell me if Kirsten says anything.
She says be better.
Does she? Tell me only if she says something worth hearing. You're startled by the lack of water bucks since I returned from leave, I must say. There were, for many months, every time you drove through this area, there were little pockets of 2 or 3 waterbuck sitting amongst the silver cluster leaf trees. I suspect possibly because there's, a certain suite of grass species grow on the steep lines where the silver cluster leaf grow during the wet season. Now that the wet season is well and truly over, all 3 days of it that we had, you'll find that the waterbuck have moved on to greener pastures, as it were. Watch the aerials, Andre. We don't want to break the car. Right, now we're on Leadwood Road, and I always love this little spot here. Very nice clearings that we can ease our way down into. And normally, of course, there's a great view of the Drakensberg Mountains from here, but not today. The sky is very hazy. I'm not sure why. There wasn't a great wind yesterday. I don't think there are any fires around at the moment. There's certainly not much to burn over here. So I don't know why there should be such a haze in the air. I can hear Kirsten is speaking to Jean-Andre. What she said, however, I cannot tell you. Jean-Andre?
Justin would like to know
Yes?
if there's ever been a fire large enough to damage the reserve.
Ah, Justin. Yes, there have been many fires that have damaged the reserve, but remember, damage is a relative term. If you happen to be a tortoise or a spider or a piece of grass, then yes, there have been many fires that have damaged the reserve. If you look at it from the entire ecosystem perspective, fire is a necessary and very common part of African wildlife systems. So yes, fire does come through, but it doesn't cause lasting damage, and it's very important to the health of many species. It's not going to come through here. I just want to show you this tree quickly. This is a false marula tree, everybody. And I've been banging on a little bit about the fact that our leaves don't get sort of beautiful autumnal colors like you might get in Canada or the rest of North America and parts of Northern Europe. They just tend to go this yellow colour and then they drop off the trees, but I do quite like the yellow colour and they have a distinctive smell. In fact, let me get some quickly. It's not so much the leaves on the trees that have the distinctive smell. It's like a... I suppose you'd consider it a sort of wild potpourri, if you like. You'll see if I can regain Gendre's favour by giving him some to smell. Certainly we need it in the car, given the odour coming off of his rotting foot.
Such a romantic.
Yes. And it's a very subtle kind of potpourri type smell. I mean, it's not quite potpourri. I mean, I'm being sort of I'm exaggerating. I'm being hyperbolic. But the sort of carpet of dry leaves does leave the place with a lovely scent over the winter months. I'll put that in your sock.
Will you do it for me, James?
No, I will not go anywhere near your foot. Save to cut it off.
Justin says be nicer, James.
Justin says be nice. I don't believe you. Justin, just look around here. Sorry, one more thing. Just quickly into the clearings there, if you don't mind, Gendry. I know it's difficult for you to move with your club foot, but you'll see there's a clearing there, and that clearing, Justin, there is no grass in there that will burn, and there are no trees that would sort of ignite unless there was a really large sward of grass. And so fires this season unlikely. Brent has got something. What it is, I don't know. Let's go and see him.
So fortunately I did manage to find a hat in the car. Joy. But we haven't been able to find any tracks. So I think, actually I don't think, I know. I completely feel like spending some time with those incredible elephants. So I'm going to head back towards the area around the treehouse waterhole. And hopefully we'll catch up with that massive herd. Always good to check around the Juma camps. There are a lot of animals that do like to spend time here, but not so far this morning. You're going to find as it gets a bit warmer, a lot of animals are going to come down to drink. No, that was a leopard stick. You see it there, Brian, in the distance. So when you're looking for animals, you look for anything that looks slightly out of the norm. And that looks at, I'm pretty sure that's probably a branch broken by an elephant. Ryan, you can see. Yep, elephant. Okay. We shall. So, oh, hello little guys. Now it's warm enough for the little ones to get moving. So some dwarf mongoose heading out on their morning forage. They still look a little bit slow from the cold morning. Oh, look at that. See, alarm call. I don't know if you wouldn't have been able to hear the alarm call. There's a little and send them all scattering for cover. Now, one of the sentries probably spotted, oh, there we go, a bird of prey, but I can't see one. Sometimes they get a bit of a fright from even a hornbill or something else. But we can't see what it is, and sometimes they do give false alarms, and when you're that little, it pays to be overcautious. But we're going to leave the cautious mongoose and keep heading towards those elephants, But James has got the tallest member of our Juma family.
We've got nothing, everybody. That's an absolute lie. We had a giraffe, of course. I told Kirsten that we wanted to show you the giraffe. She ignored me. She showed you a dwarf mongoose, which you've seen already, and now we've got nothing but embarrassing swathes of vegetation. I am being slightly nasty, of course. The giraffe is right here. There he is. There we go. Isn't he nice? He's a very old fellow. Kirsten says I should feel free to apologise.
I agree.
I do feel free to apologise. I'm not going to, though.
So nasty, James.
I know. I can't help it. Very nice. Now, he's quite old, everybody. You can see that he's got very extensive, what they call median horns, which is a kind of ridiculous way of saying calcified skull. And that's from fighting. You can see he's actually broken the skin on the top of his rather Roman nose. Likewise, you can see his ear is mangled. His left ear is mangled. He is enormous. He's probably standing at about 4.5 meters tall. That in feet is, well, it's probably nigh on 14 feet, you know. And he's now standing behind a bush. Irritating. Let me move again. But he's a magnificent fellow. He must have many interesting stories to tell, I'm sure, if only he spoke English. As opposed to giraffe, which is a low-frequency rumble, believe it or not. Here he comes. He's a really lovely fellow. Just try and hear him. I'm going to be quiet. We'll just try and see if you can hear him tearing the leaves off that black monkey thorn tree. And the swish of his tail. And in the background, the magpie shrike. You might also be able to hear the odd fly knocking about the place. Now, the thorns on this tree, of course, very vicious indeed. And I've no doubt that the sort of broken skin on the top of his nose where that bone has calcified has been rubbed off by the constant sort of rubbing against vicious thorns, because he must put his face into thorny bushes all day long. Isn't he great? It's fantastic. So, I mean, I think that a giraffe in this area could potentially live to about 20 years, highly unlikely to get that old. So this guy's probably sitting at around 15, I would say. Look at his scaffy left ear. He's marvellous. I tell you, we don't often have giraffe. Are not that common here. Far less so than, say, buffalo, for example. We'll try and take a picular of him. I'll find him. Andre, why are you showing people me taking a picular?
Find it fascinating.
They won't find it fascinating. Yeah, this is exactly, as Kirsten says, this is a trade secret. I mean, this is a film industry first.
Show us your photo, James.
No, it was a video.
Oh.
A picular video, everybody. It's called a vidular. Which, of course, is a totally just terrible name. I'm just so amazed by his scaffy ear. I think it's wonderful. Oh, it's a beautifully peaceful, peaceful morning, this. It's the best kind of morning because we have the action of the morning, and then as it heats up, it just gets so peaceful. Sorry, it was me attacking a fly. I got him. He's now splattered over my right ear.
Murderer.
Judy and James Richard, you say he's a regular. We've seen him before. Okay, thank you for that. I can't remember if I've seen him or not. But I would imagine that, yeah, I mean, if he's this age, he will move on and off a reserve like this. But he will have a fairly contained home range. So, yeah, I'm sure we have seen him before. Thank you for that. Brilliant. Okay. Shall we carry on, Jean-Marie? With any luck, we'll find a leopard. Oh, that's interesting. I'm just listening on the radio, everyone. I don't know why I didn't think of this myself. Let's just keep watching the giraffe. He's coming out into the open. Taxon has just said on the radio to somebody who wants to go and see the kill, or where the kill was. He said he thinks that Nyala was probably killed by a leopard and then stolen by the lions. And I think that actually makes a lot of sense, given how little the lioness had eaten. The male, yeah, he looked fullish, but he didn't look that full. And also the fact that they were fighting over it, despite the fact that there was, there was so little left, indicated to me that they hadn't eaten it all themselves. So I think that's what happened there. I think a really good interpretation of it from Taxon. So quite possibly, a big nyala like that, most likely caught by a male leopard. And I think quite likely it was that chap Gijima. That's where he lives. And certainly he's quite shy and retiring. Beautiful, beautiful morning. And you can see there where the ectoparasites have got at his neck. That's fairly typical of an old giraffe. It's completely normal. And Kinsey, you want to know if it's common for male giraffe to be alone. It's very common, and it's most likely, Kinsey, that male giraffe will live alone. They enjoy their own company. You will often find them in the company of a female. I'm just kind of lurking about and seeing if she's ready to mate. But the arrangements with giraffe, even amongst the female, seem to be, certainly at surface level, to be very loose. So, they come together and then they leave each other alone again for extended periods. He's actually going straight towards the road, so let's continue along here. But I don't know that that's necessarily true. So the females are supposed to live in these loose herds, which are not necessarily always a herd. They're just sort of individuals that come together every so often. But I think because they communicate over fairly long distances, quite often a herd will sort of dissipate, but stay in visual and possibly audio, what's the word I'm looking for? Audio contact, so they'll be able to hear each other because they make those low infrasonic rumbles that do travel through thick vegetation. But this guy's definitely on his own. Jean-Ray, you all right there? You're looking a little uncomfortable.
I bumped my foot.
Is your tootsie sore? Shame. Poor Sandra got a sore tootsie. Smells like a nyala that's been dead for many days. And the viewers, thank you. You apparently have been concerned for Genre. Genre, get that foul thing off my shoulder. Can't believe it. He just put his smelly carcass of a foot on my shoulder. He'll be fine, everyone. At the very least, I mean, we've got very sharp knives in camp. We certainly can remove it at the ankle should the need arise. So please don't worry. Certainly between Brent and I, it'll be a fight over to see who gets to do it. Kirsten might also get in on the action. We don't get to see giraffe like this, you know. We don't often get to spend this amount of time with them. So I think we're just going to sit here with him and enjoy him for the next little while. Of course, watching him have his breakfast makes me quite hungry. Hello, Joey in Australia. Your question is a valid one. You want to know what would happen if this giraffe saw a leopard or a cheetah.